Welcome to Sunset Yoga. Happy Hump Day. As usual, it is cooling down here. We've got a nice little breeze, ready for our session tonight. The sun is setting a little bit sooner, so we'll be starting earlier here in this next week, and still be catching some lovely sunsets. Wispy clouds in the skies, so that might bring us a little bit of drama. Hopefully you're enjoying it, enjoying the clouds going by, perhaps when you're taking a break from your poses. Today is another session of Beginner Basics, so we will cover some postures, break some postures down, move kind of slowly through our flows, take our time to move through it, so that we really understand and begin to feel what each posture and what each transition means. We say hi to Melly, see if she wants to join us on the mat today, or go do her own session of yoga underneath, or just stay here on the stoop. For today's session, I have, of course, as usual, a bottle of water and a towel in case I start sweating, or if I need to lengthen anything, I can use my towel as I would a strap or a belt. And I do also have my blocks. One of those I am sitting on here so that I can give my knees a little bit of rest. I always believe that having a block is a great idea to lengthen my arms, to bring the floor closer to me. So if you don't have any blocks, I suggest some books or anything that is nice and sturdy to bring your floor closer, perhaps extend your limbs. Today we're going to start in a nice seated position, whether or not we've got a dog or a cat or any other animal familiar to join us on the mat, or any partners in the room. We're going to get ourselves nice and comfortable. I'm here in a hero pose. So I've got my knees bent, legs bent here on my shins and the tops of my feet. Again, sitting on the block, it's directly in between my heels, keeping my knees hip distance apart, no wider than my shoulders, just depending on your knee and hip flexibility. If you'd like to be in a cross-leg position or a half cross-leg position, that also works. We just want to be in a position that we can hold and rest in for the next few minutes. So we're going to close our eyes or maintain a soft gaze just in front of us. If closing your eyes seems a little too, I don't know, still a little too uncomfortable, or you're just really tired here at the end of the day, then I highly recommend keeping a soft gaze just in front of you, not in eye line, but down on the floor, finding something to look at, something to hold your focus as we begin to rest, relax the rest of our body just enough so that we can focus on our breath. Beginning to breathe through our nose, nice deep inhale, and exhale through our nose. Again, inhale and exhale. One more time, inhale and exhale. We're going to continue breathing nice, long, intentional rounds of breath as we talk through our intentions for this practice. We can think broadly as intentions, liken them to our New Year's resolution. But 365 days or 366 days, that's a really long time to focus on just one thing. So when we start our yoga practice, whether it's for 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 60 minutes like today, having one thing to focus on becomes a little bit more manageable. And what we do with that focus, with that intention, is try and direct our energy towards that thing. So today, I'd like to focus on being here and now, being present. In yoga and in life, it's very easy to get distracted, to let ourselves get hung up on things that are not here with us, right here and now. So for today's practice, when I do find myself getting a little tense, when my mind starts to wander, or if I'm thinking of anything other than this blue sky turning orange and pink and whatever other colors are going to appear, I'm going to bring myself back to this moment, bring myself back to my mat, and bring myself back to my body. So whether or not that is your intention, if you'd like to take that one today or create one of your own, we're going to drop our arms down to our sides, palms facing up, and begin or continue our breathing. Nice deep inhale, drawing our arms up, lengthening our spine, gazing upward, turning the palms out, lowering them down as we exhale. Keeping it moving. Inhale our arms up, exhale the arms down. Noticing how nice it feels to just do two things. Breathe and move our arms. One more deep inhale, holding our arms up, bringing our palms together, pulling our arms back slightly, tucking the pelvis under as we lengthen the spine. If just your fingertips are touching because your shoulder mobility, that's fine. Or if you're hovering, palms are almost there, that's good too. You've got those palms entirely touching, that's all right. That's beautiful as well. Inhale, lengthen our spine. Exhale, lean over to one side. Inhale, straightening those arms, trying to make yourself a little taller. Exhale, lean just a little bit more. Inhale, bring ourselves up. Exhale, go over to the other side. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, lengthening through the sides. Lengthening spine, pressing those palms together, stretching out our sides. Still grounding our sit bones here as we inhale ourselves up. Exhale, lowering our arms down. Taking a breath here. Feeling our shoulders beginning to fire up. We'll inhale, bring our spine tall. Exhale, bring our right hand to the opposite knee. Left hand goes behind us as we gently twist. Sitting tall on our inhale. Exhale, we twist just a little more. Pulling or pushing our chest with that hand that's on the knee. Gazing over behind us or over that left shoulder. Inhale, sitting tall. Exhale, unwinding all the way over to the other side. Letting our gaze go that way as well. We don't want to strain ourselves here, so I'm not immediately going to look over that right shoulder. I'll start my gaze over here directly to my side, and with each exhale, I look just a little farther. As my spine twists a little more, as my chest opens a little more, I can see just a little farther. Sitting tall, And exhale, bring ourselves back center. Once you start moving our spine in a circle, so I'll think of going in a counterclockwise motion first. I inhale, bring my chest forward, opening up my chest, trying to push my shoulder blades together behind me. And then I start rotating around. Exhale, I'm curling my back, really bringing my shoulders forward, tucking my belly button in. And I keep moving in that circle, letting my head be soft, head and neck on top as I open up and close, opening the chest and contracting. Hands are on my knees as leverage, or perhaps they slide up my thighs just a little bit, depending on how much I can curve my back. Now move to the other direction, clockwise, still connecting with my breathing, still feeling my spine, getting this nice massage at the start of our practice. Really just trying to loosen things up, encouraging my body, my torso to not be stiff as I come back center and releasing my arms down. So we'll sit here for another moment so we can talk about what our hands do during yoga. So we've got a few options depending on what position we are in. So quite often I'll speak of spreading the fingers really wide, pressing the mat away, or really engaging, pushing the ground away. So when I'm doing that, when I'm speaking of that, I literally mean spreading out those fingers. I had an instructor one time that said that whether it's your fingers or your toes, your hands or your feet, you want to feel the skin in between them, in between each digit. So you're really spreading them out and engaging each finger. And it's going to be the same thing with our feet, which we can talk about later. So that's one option, really spreading out those hands, feeling the muscles in your palms and the backs of your hands working because I don't have the lazy fingers. Another thing that we do often is have our hands here at our knees. Now, unless we're doing something where we need to kind of hold on so we don't fall, we do have other options. And what is most commonly seen, or what's very popular and stereotypical for yoga, is seeing this with our hands. So I've got my thumb and my index finger touching, and my other fingers are out. This is a very popular mudra. This is a hand positioning. You can think of it as hand yoga in in practices. Without going into deep detail, basically it means we're rooting ourselves. There are many different mudras that we can do with our hands, either one hand at a time or using both of our hands. And this is a very popular one. Again, it simply means that we are rooted or feeling rooted or rooting ourselves to the ground. So if we're in a posture and our hands are out, instead of having those fingers spread, I can bring my thumb and my index finger together in order to give myself my focus, direct my energy, direct my focus to one end of my body. Another option is to keep the palm open. And this is a mudra that means courage. So I like to have myself really open. And if we think of this culturally, we do tend to say, here I am, very proudly. And so it has that type of meaning. The final one that I'd like to discuss is when our palms are together. And this does mean a general meaning for it is reverence or becoming centered. So if we're here and I want to be rooted, I can have my fingers here as we discussed, or have my palms open. Or if I need to kind of gather myself, then I can bring my palms together here at my heart center, in the center of my chest, and feel a little bit more calm. So now we'll move ourselves up and begin our postures, begin our flow for the day, remembering those mudras and deciding which ones we would like to incorporate into today's practice. So as we did before, we'll move into our sun salutations. First, we'll just do one round of the entire salutation, and then we'll spend a few breaths in each pose. So just warming up our body, getting everything on board. We're going to ground our feet here in this mountain pose. And by grounding, I mean getting nice and balanced. So I like to move my hips around, move my feet around, spread those toes. So I'm using my entire foot. Feet are hip distance apart or together if you prefer that. And arms are here by our side or here at our heart. Stacking my body nice and tall, doing a quick scan from feet to ankles, to knees, to hips, belly, shoulders, and hands, making sure everything is drawing up. Gaze is just in front of me. I'll inhale my arms up. Exhale, dive down, getting my hands on my shins, releasing my head down. Inhale, bring my chest up for a flat back. Exhale, bend my knees, hands down to the mat and step back, lowering down, untucking my toes and pressing up. Exhale, tucking the toes again, pressing back. Next inhale, I look up through my hands. Exhale, walk my feet in and fold again. Inhale, bring myself back up to standing, and I'm back where I began. So in each of these poses, we're going to spend 3 rounds of breath. And what I mean as a round by a round is 1 full inhale, 1 full exhale. We'll do that for 3 rounds in each pose. We'll inhale our arms up, exhale, fold down, hands to shins, head down. If this is intense, too intense, we'll bend our knees slightly as we let our chest fold down. Here, I'm thinking of lengthening my spine and relaxing into the fold. Next, inhale, our chest comes up. To make a flat back, my gaze goes just in front of my mat, and then I fold my chest back down. Allowing the stretch to happen in the backs of my legs as well as in my spine. Drawing my belly button in. Next, inhale, lengthen the spine, dipping the hips. Exhale, I place my hands down and step my feet back so that I'm in a high plank. We're staying right here. Hands are directly underneath our shoulders, our wrists are underneath our shoulders, and I'm pressing my heels back, stretching out my toes here. I round my elbows to come in towards one another, in towards my thighs, and then I bend my arms to come down into this nice low plank. Holding here, trying to keep our body even, feeling our arms really fire up here. Still pressing through our heels, spreading those fingers, and then lowering our chest down, untucking our toes. We've got 2 options here, keeping our hands right underneath our shoulders, and then we press our chest up for our cobra. That's option 1. Option 2, I'll get my forearms to the floor, keep pressing shoulder blades together, and lift my chest up. Holding here. This is our Sphinx. We might notice that as our practice goes on, with each round of sun salutations that we do, We might find that sometimes we want to be here in Sphinx, sometimes we want to be in Cobra on our hands, and other times we're feeling even more flexible and we go into our upward dog. And it's just fine. Keep listening to your body and move the way that it wants and needs to. So we'll exhale, bring our chest down, tucking our toes under, push ourselves back, bringing our chest to our belly with our legs bent. Fingers are spread nice and wide. Palms are being used as we're pushing away at this nice deep angle. Once I feel like my chest is as close to my legs as it can go, then I start to straighten out my legs, pressing my hips up towards the sky. Downward dog is pretty difficult, pretty challenging for a lot of newcomers to yoga. So we can keep our legs bent here, take some of the stress out of the arms and out of the shoulders, and especially out of the backs of our legs. We can also move one leg at a time just to get our legs on board with what is happening in this session. Wherever we are, we're going to inhale, look forward, exhale, walk our feet to our hands and fold down one more time. Inhale, release the arms to come up. Exhale, bring them down. Let's do that again. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold down, breathing. Let's incorporate this flat back for 1. Exhale, that's 2. And 3, hands down, stepping back. Taking 3 rounds of breath here. Feeling how strong our arms are, leveling out our body. And slowly lower down, holding as low as you can for 1, 2. Digging those elbows into your sides, 3. And lower all the way down, untucking toes, pressing the chest up, deciding what expression you want right now. Here we're pushing our chest through our arms, pressing into the ground, rolling those shoulders back to lift our gaze higher. And tucking toes under, hands to the mat, pushing our hips back. Belly to our thighs, really getting deep into this downward dog with our torso, encouraging those heels down towards the mat with each breath. That's 2 and 3. Next inhale, look forward. Exhale, walk ourselves back and fold. Inhale ourselves up and arms down. Now we're going to add a couple things in this round. Still encouraging our legs to open up, the muscles to relax and release in a couple of different ways. So we won't spend as long in each pose, but we will spend some time in some of them. Grounding ourselves in this mountain. Inhale our arms up. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, folding down again. From here, I want to bend my legs slightly, release my hands from my legs, and grab for my opposite elbows. Lowering my head, releasing my head and neck. I'm here in my rag doll. Now I can begin to swing my arms forward and back, or take my torso from side to side, if that feels nice. My legs are slightly bent here. I can start to straighten them out. Keep holding on to my opposite arms. Adding some weight for my legs, stretching out the backs of my legs. If that becomes too intense, I'll just bend my legs and enjoy the stretch modified. Inhale, look up, flat back. Exhale, get the hands down, bend our legs and step back. Lowering all the way down. Pressing our chest up in our cobra or that sphinx. Tucking our toes, pressing back into our downward dog. Breathing here. Continue pressing the floor away, driving our heels down, or coming up to the balls of our feet and getting our hips even higher as our legs are bent slightly. We've got different options in every pose, making it work for our body. Gazes between and through our legs. On our next inhale, we look forward. Exhale, step our left foot forward. We'll turn our right heel in and bring our chest up. We'll keep that left leg bent, keeping our knee directly over our ankle, and we'll bring our arms up into the air, rotate our torso forward. Now we might find that that back heel starts to want to turn, and that's just fine. We can have our foot at a 45-degree angle, encouraging our chest to be square. And this is our warrior one. To get a little bit deeper, I'll step that foot forward a little bit more so I can bend and really open up my pelvis here. Keep inhale, extending up towards the sky. Exhale, feeling how strong my feet and legs are. Arms stay parallel to one another, keeping them right here at my ears. Keep extending through my fingers. Inhale, straighten out that front leg. Exhale, open the chest up, arms come down. Let's go ahead and try that on the other side. Turn the left toes in, right toes out. Inhale our arms up. Exhale, rotate our torso and bend that right leg. Torso should be square with the top or what's now the back of our mat. Same rules as on the other side. Knee should be over that ankle. Turning that back foot so that it's at about a 45-degree angle. Arms are staying right at our ears, framing our head. Inhale ourselves standing. Exhale, open up, dropping our arms down. Turning the right toes in, turning the left toes back out. Inhale our arms up. Exhale, rotate and sink down. So I like to talk about doing body scans a lot. And it's useful not just on the mat, but also when I'm out in the world, whether I'm driving or doing anything else in my regular life. I like to just check in with my body, make sure it's doing what it should be or not doing what it shouldn't be doing. So here, I want to check in with my feet. The outside of that back foot should still be engaged, should still be touching the back of the mat. So I want to press the outside of that foot in as I rotate my torso around and sink the pelvis down a little bit more. That might cause me to engage things that don't need to be engaged. So I will release my glutes, release any tension in my forehead or my jaw, and sink and breathe into the posture. Inhale, straighten it out. Exhale, arms down, turning my toes in, right toes out, resting just for a moment. And inhale, arms up. Exhale, rotate over to the other side, sinking down. Noticing how different or similar this side is. Encouraging the rotation, bending that leg. Keeping extending up towards the sky. Taking a moment to appreciate our sunset. Inhale ourselves up. Exhale, release the arms down. Turning our toes back over to the other side. We'll inhale our arms up. And then exhale, take them all the way down to the mat. Stepping back and lowering down. Untuck the toes, press our chest up, and press ourselves back. That was a lot of work for our shoulders, staying in that warrior one. So if we need a break, we can bring our knees down, untuck our toes, and push back into child's pose. Now for child's pose, we can have our arms out here in front or bring them back here so that they're next to our legs, and bring our forehead to the mat. Allowing our body to rest just for a moment. Still breathing. Getting our arms back in front, shifting our weight forward, tucking the toes under and pushing back into that downward dog. Taking just a few breaths here. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, walk the feet in and fold. Inhale, bring our chest up. Exhale, bring the arms down. Awesome. For the next part of our practice, I'd like to stay on the ground, stay on our mat. But that doesn't mean that we will be working any less. So we'll bring ourselves down to our knees, and we'll start moving through some things that are kind of centered around our tabletop. So our tabletop pose, we're here on our hands and knees. Wrists are directly underneath our shoulders. Knees are directly underneath our hips. And this is our basic tabletop. We want to keep our knees about hip distance apart, no wider than shoulder distance. And we'll keep our feet right there in line with our knees as well. Fingers are spread nice and wide, and I keep rotating my elbows in towards one another, and then I push my arms so that they're nice and straight and strong. I don't want to lock my elbows out, but I want to have just the slightest bend so I'm still able to have strength in those arms. From here, our first set of moves or poses, I'm going to shift my weight into my left hand, perhaps even bring it in just a little bit, and I'll take my right hand off of the mat. I'm going to open it up towards the sky with my gaze following those fingers. And then I'm going to dip it down through that hole created by my left arm. Let my temple come down to the mat. I've got a few options with that left hand. I can continue to push the mat away, encouraging my right shoulder to get closer to the mat, feeling a nice stretch in my shoulder blade. Or I can extend that left hand forward, getting my head and shoulder even closer down to the mat. My last option is to take that left hand off of the mat and bring it to my back. Wherever we are, we're still breathing here. Inhale, press into that left hand, bringing our right hand back up into the air. Exhale, take that right hand down. Inhale, shift our weight. Left hand comes up into the air, opening up. Exhale, thread the needle. Threading that left hand through. Whenever we go from one side to another, we definitely want to check in and scan our body, see if there's any differences, similarities, see if one side of the body needs a little bit more or different care than the other. So if you feel like having an arm in front on this side feels a little bit better, great. If not, just do the same thing that you did on the other side. Grounding into that right hand, press your body up. Inhale to open up and exhale the hand down. Sitting back on our heels, let's roll our wrists out here for a moment. Another intense thing for beginners or for any yoga practitioner for a while or after a long break is going to be our wrists. We spend a lot of time on the hands when we're doing our downward dog or here in our tabletop, or whether it's a plank, a side plank. We really depend on our wrists. We can do a lot of different exercises and stretches for them. Most basic being just roll your hands out. We can also interlace our fingers and then roll our hands in circles. Change the direction of the circles. And release the hands. Re-interlace them the different way and move them around. And go the other direction. Moving our fingers around here. Now doing this seated, I like to call it stop in the name of love. Turn my fingers down and I can pull my fingers back here. To get a little bit more deeper stretch, I'll lean my weight forward, keep those fingers facing my body, fingers are spread, and bring my weight back. Gently coming out of that, counter stretch, bringing the fingers down, top of my hand away from my body, and pulling those fingers in. Other hand, we stop and turn it, pull the fingers back, and to go a little deeper, get that palm down to the mat, pull our weight back. And release. Get those fingers down and pull them in. Coming back into our tabletop, hands underneath our shoulders or our wrists underneath our shoulders, knees under those hips. I'm going to shift my weight into my left knee and pick my right foot off of the mat. I'll shift my weight into my right hand, taking my left hand off of the mat. So I've got opposite limbs off of the mat now. This is enough of a balance. We'll find a point of focus and I'll reach for that foot, the inside of that foot or that ankle with that hand. grounding in my hand that is on the mat and my knee, not leaning too far forward or back, staying right here center. I begin to lift my knee up into the air, pressing my foot into this hand. My gaze is in front of me or just in front of my mat. I'm relaxing my shoulders, and with each breath, I lift and extend, pressing the top of my left foot into the mat, just as I'm pressing my palm of my right hand into the mat. One more breath here, and release. Shift our weight into that right knee, getting our left knee off the mat, shifting the weight into that right hand, left hand, our right hand's off of the mat, grabbing that left ankle, push into that hand, balance ourselves out. Once we feel balanced and we've got our focus, we begin lifting from the knee, pressing into our hand, lifting our chest up, and breathing. Relaxing our face, relaxing our belly. One more good inhale, and exhale, release down. Taking our hips back, stretching out the arms in front of us, lowering our head down. Taking a few really deep breaths here, feeling our lungs expand, feeling our ribs, our rib cage expand as we counter those twists. Looking forward, bringing our weight forward, going back into that one more time on each side. Starting with our right foot, getting it with our left hand, and lift up. If we're here, that is just fine, as long as each breath we're pushing our chest up a little bit more, pressing into that hand a little bit more, finding more balance with each round of breath. Letting our shoulders start to open. Inhale and release. Shifting our weight, getting that left foot with the right hand. Inhale and lift. As always, noticing any differences from one side to the other. Is it easier to balance on one wrist? Does one hip feel more open or one shoulder a little bit tighter? And release. Taking our hips back, child's pose. Really encouraging our hips to go down closer to our heels, to our feet. Encouraging the curl in our lower back and our upper back here. Really countering that posture. Looking forward, bringing yourself forward, and bringing our knees forward, shifting our weight so that we can sit. So we did spend some time spent a lot of time in our plank earlier, our high plank to low plank, hanging out in low plank. Now we want to reverse our plank or do an upward plank. So to do that, we're going to lean back on our hands and have our fingers facing our body, palms down. I want to start with my legs bent, but where exactly your feet are is going to depend on the length of your limbs. So I need to start with my feet a little bit farther back, farther forward. I'm going to press into my arms. I'll straighten them out, and I'm going to push my hips up towards the sky as well as my chest. Grounding into my feet, I lift up. And then I lower my hips down. Again, I lift up, pressing into those hands and feet, and lower down. So with our legs bent, we're in this reverse tabletop. If we want to go into our plank, then I would just scoot myself down a little bit more, making sure that my feet are going to stay on my mat. Start with my heels and legs straight, and same thing, I push my hips up, grounding into my feet, nice and flat onto the mat. Keep pushing my chest and hips up, shoulders away from my ears, and then bring myself down. If we're trying that, let's go into it again. Pressing the mat away, hips come up towards the sky, head falls back. Shoulders not sinking in them, strong arms here, and coming back down. Wherever we were, let's go ahead and bend the legs, bring the knees into the chest, giving ourselves a nice little hug here, relaxing our spine and shoulders, moving our fingers around. We're going to go into that 2 more times for 2 more rounds of breath. We're going to choose whichever one we would like. I'll start with the tabletop. That's what my body wants to do today, this reverse tabletop. So once your wrists are ready, you'll set yourself up. For my tabletop, I need my legs extra bent. Fingers are facing my hips, and then I push up. Hips up nice and high, head falls back, breathing. Two, and 3. Bringing our hips down. Embracing our knees, curling the back. Going into it one last time. Getting our hands and feet in place. Inhale, and get your body up. Grounding into the feet, keeping our knees parallel to one another. Hips keep driving upwards, and release down. Embracing the legs, letting our head fall forward. Relaxing the shoulders and shoulder blades. From here, we'll begin lowering ourselves down to the mat all the way. And we'll do a little bit of a leg stretch since that was pretty intense on the backs and fronts of our legs. So we'll lower our chest down, head down on the mat. We'll begin by bringing our left knee into our chest. Right leg is completely extended, heel pressing down into the mat of that right leg. Let's just move our left ankle around here. We spent some time talking about our wrists, but our feet and ankles really do a lot for us, whether we're on or off the mat. Relaxing that foot and ankle, bringing our knee even closer into our chest. I'm pulling at my ankle or my shin, really trying to bend my leg as much as possible while taking care of my knee. Gaze is nice and gentle up towards your ceiling or the sky. From here, I'm going to move my knee, my thigh to the outside of my rib cage, enjoying the stretch here of my pelvis. If I want, I can move that leg back and forth just a little bit. And then open that knee up just a little bit more. If it doesn't come to touch the floor, that's okay. Just gonna let it float there for a moment. You can start to straighten out the leg a little bit, straighten and bend the leg, making sure that that right hip, that right glute stays on the mat. Then bring the knee back into the chest, get it with the opposite hand and take it across your body. Again, it's not important that that knee touches down to the floor. What's more important here is that both of our shoulders stay on the floor, stay on the mat. We can open up the left arm, taking our knee over in this twist, supporting that knee with our hands or with a block if you have it nearby. Inhale that knee back. Bring it into the chest one last time. And release. Right knee into our chest. Same thing here, just kind of moving it around a little bit, finding a nice comfortable spot for it, and then move that right ankle around. Both directions. Moving my toes. Moving that thigh, that right thigh to the outside of my rib cage, outside of my torso. Feeling my pelvis open up a little bit more. Then taking that knee open. Letting gravity just do its work. Bringing that knee back and across our body. Right arm extends in the opposite direction. Make sure we keep both of our shoulders on the mat. It's a little bit more challenging for this side of my body, but that's okay. I can just support that knee with my left hand. And I can still relax the lower part of my leg to enjoy the stretch. And bring that knee back into your chest. One more time. And extend it out. Shaking the legs out here. We'll bring our knees into our chest together this time, giving ourselves one more good hug as we roll back and forth. Coming back center, getting my arms on the inside. I'm going to reach for the inside of my feet and then open up my legs just enough so that I'm in this happy baby pose. Relaxing my pelvis as I rock a little bit. My arms are touching the insides of my legs. I'm thinking that my feet are flexed as though my feet are on the ceiling above me. Pushing or pulling my knees down towards the floor, encouraging my pelvis to open up, just feeling this nice final stretch. I can also straighten one leg at a time here if that feels good. Keeping the other leg bent. And bring the knees back into the chest and extend the legs out. One last shake out of those legs, shaking our wrists and arms out as well. Move our head from side to side and relax our entire body. Our yoga practice on the mat always ends in this corpse pose, this Savasana pose. The only thing we're taxed with doing here is relaxing, letting go and doing nothing. I find it's a lovely time to reflect not only on what I did do just for a moment, what I did do in my practice, but also to reflect on my intention for that practice. Have I remembered it? Have I kept true with it? Is it something that applies now as I lie here melting into my mat? As we lie here, it's also a good time to check in with our breathing. It should be just as easy, if not easier, than when we began our practice. Not forced, just relax. Nice deep inhale, making our belly big, and exhale, sinking us further down into relaxation. Finally, I check in with parts of my body that I know tense up, like my forehead, like my jaw, like my hand. Releasing their tension. One last time. We'll start coming out of this pose by moving fingers and toes gently, by deepening our breath just enough to feel ourselves back in our room, back in our space, and in our body. As we gain more feeling in our hands and our feet, moving up and through our body, we move a little bit more, rolling onto one side. Not quite sitting up yet, just preparing. Lying here for another moment. enjoying these final moments of rest. Pressing ourselves up to sit in a comfortable posture again, either the same as earlier or a different one. Keeping our eyes closed or maintaining our soft gaze. We'll end today's practice as we began with some nice deep breaths in and out through our nose. We inhale and exhale. Inhale, sitting tall. Exhale, feeling grounded. Inhale and exhale. Thank you for joining me today. Often at the end of a yoga practice, you'll hear your teacher say namaste. And that simply means that the light in me sees and recognizes the light in you.